Hey, I'm Mindy Kinnis. This is the Daily Rage. First off, a huge thank you and welcome to those of you who are new subscribers. I totally appreciate you being here. And just as an FYI, on Fridays, what I like to do is take a look at what happened during the week and see if we can determine what might happen from here. In other words, give you guys some targets for next week. Now, I always give you two targets to the high side and two targets to the low side. You can see these were from last week, Friday, and clearly we blasted off through those high side targets. So, congrats to those of you who were long for that just momentous ride. And the goal for you then on any given day or any given time is for you to determine to the best of your ability which direction are we going? In other words, are we headed toward our high side targets or are we headed toward our short side targets? And that is going to be the work for you. Unfortunately, I can't tell you other than the technicals of what we can see in the big picture, which way they might go. But as you know, with the markets, anything can change at any time and you have to stay very vigilant about what's happening, especially for those of you like me that are very short term traders. So these targets are going to work for the micros as well as the biggie contracts. The only difference in the charts is going to be maybe slight fluctuations based on volume, but the targets are going to be relatively the same. So if you are trading biggies, if you are trading micros, we're going to be talking about the same numbers. So these will work for you. Speaking of numbers, though, what happens when we have all time highs? So, this is the micro Dow MYM, and we are, as of today, we hit an all time high yet again. So, we're going to look at this the ATR, average true range. This 524 over here means that this moves approximately 500 points per day. So, all we're going to do is take where we are right now. So, 44, let's just round up and call it 200 because we were a bit higher than that. We're going to add 500 on top of that. So, we will go to 44,700 for our first target. And that's going to be close enough. And then following that, we can take another 500. Okay, again, close enough. And as always, these are not an exact science. What I'm talking about here with these targets is this is an area of interest. So I remember when I just first started trading, and my friend Candy and I were running a trading group, and there was a woman in the group who was always waiting on her targets to be hit. Like she would be watching price come up, 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 and it might get like just right up there and then fall back down. And I just remember asking her, like, "Why didn't you take it? Like, why didn't you take that profit?" And she was like, "Well, I thought it would just, you know, keep going and eventually hit that target." I was like, yeah, like that'd be great, but that doesn't always work that way." So again, an area of interest, if it gets up around this vicinity, you might want to do something about that. Take some profit, move your stop up, depending on your own style. Remember, these are points to pay attention to. All right, then for the low side, that one's going to be quite close. And this one, of course, based on Wednesday's price action, is going to be quite low. However, you could use this turning line as kind of an intermediate short target if you wanted. If this gets itself turned back around, obviously we'd have to go through here first. Then we would hit there, then we would hit this. So always these targets are going to be determined based around the current price. Current price is here. That means this is target one to the high side. This is target two to the high side. This would be target one to the short side. This would be target two to the short side. So we're always just fencing in current price. So that looks pretty good for the Dow. Let's move on to the S&P. This is also the micro S&P. And just again, all-time highs, so super crazy. The ATR on this one is 70. Let's see where we made it to today, around 60.40. We'll call that good right about there. As for target 2, we can add on about 70 more than that. So we'll go for about 61.80-ish. All right, short side targets. Let's go here and here. Now, that's again a lot of space, but you could always use that turning line as an intermediate short target. Again, that's only if it gets itself turned around and starts heading down. If you are in this thing for the long haul, you're a swing trader or a longer term trader, clearly you're going to want to just kind of stick with that long side. We are obviously in an uptrend. Parabolic SIR confirms that we're above everything that matters. In other words, the Ichimoku cloud, the turning line, the standard line, like it all looks really solid. For those of us that are shorter term traders, this is why we have both short and long targets. All right, let's move on to the micro NASDAQ. Whew. All right. In this case, oh, we are just at those highs. Let's look. I think, yeah, that I believe was the high point right there. So we have just surpassed that as of yesterday. So I'm going to call this ATR about 300 again, just for some easy-ish math. So we'll go for about 21,560-ish. Close enough right there. Add another 300 on top of that, we're looking around 21,860 or so. Let's see. Whew, that is getting up there. All right. Okay, close enough. 0.99. As for the short side, of course, we can bring these way, way, way up. You know, with this one particularly, I'm going to just go right to the short side. Why? Because most of this is wick. So this type of candle would be bullish. And everything else on this chart is indicating bullish as well. So I'm going to keep that one pretty tight and just see what happens. All right, there's target 2 to the short side. All right, moving on to the Russell or the micro Russell. Now, this one is not at all-time highs. So let's actually look back in history to see where we might go from here. Let's see how far we have to go back. Okay, so if we are up here, let's get these. This is current price. That's pretty darn close. So let's just head up to this next one. I know that's probably really hard to see, but these wicks back in here, when was this? In January of 2022. That's where we're heading toward, those areas. And I mean, we still have a ways to go because look, we were way up here back in 2021. Let's open this back up again. All right, I'm going to do something similar here because I really like that level of support. Both of those wicks end at the same exact place. We'll bring this up to here, the low of Wednesday approximately. And once again, you could use these turning line or standard lines to be intermediate targets, but looks really solid for now, heading on up. Moving on to the crypto markets, these also look really good. It looks like I need to update this. So these are monthly contracts. So we're going to go MBTX24. Let's get that. Now those match. And this one will be METX24. All right, now all of our stuff matches up, which is great. Let's go back to this. Okay. This is the micro Bitcoin. I believe it is also at all-time highs. So let's see how much, about 3,000. So let's just call this, where were we earlier? Around 78-ish. So let's go for around 81-ish. All right. And if we go 3,000 more than that, close enough right there. As for short side targets, we can go here and here. Micro ETH, obviously not at all-time highs. This is a lot easier when we have more data to work with. All right, so this is going to be your target 1. We're going to kind of stair step this up. That'll be target 2. Short side, we can go here. And this one, actually, I can just clean that up a bit, go right down there. That looks good. These are the micro ultra 10-year note and 30-year bond. And while I'm not going to mark on the chart because as you can see, there's just not a whole lot of data to work with, we can clearly see that there was a massive sell-off. Well, how do we know that? Because the 10-year note also and the 30-year bond also were selling off. That being said, maybe we did find a bottom and have been working up from there. We'll see what happens. As for this 30-year, the only distinction here is that we did bust through that parabolic SIR already, indicating upward. Now, we are above the turning line. We need to get through the standard line. I mean, we're way below the daily cloud at this point too. So we have a lot of work to go through. But like I said, if potentially we did find that bottom, it's going to be a good time to start looking at longs for hopefully a longer duration as the Fed has cut rates yet again. So we'll see what happens. Okay, moving on to gold. This one's had some really good moves as well to the opposite side. It kind of crashed and burned on Wednesday. So let's take that as our target one to the short side. Ooh, that's a beauty. Look at this. Anytime it comes down like this and kind of bounces off like a trampoline, that's a beautiful level of support. So I really like that one right here. As for high side targets, because this is a big red candle today, I'm going to use the high of today or close to it as target one because we'd have to work our way all the way back up to that before we can get anywhere else. Let's use that as target two. Moving on to silver. Let me bring this over. All right, we did take out these short targets. So congrats to those of you who took those trades. That is awesome. And let's see, that's pretty nice right there. We'll go down. Ooh, that's a good one as well. Look at that. Just huge red candle down and then pew, took off like a rocket ship. I love that. So let's bring this down here. Go for about today's high. You could anywhere in here. Today's high, yesterday's high. It's very, very close. And we'll go kind of right in between this turning line, standard line. So anywhere in that area you could use as a secondary target. And again, that's only if it gets itself turned around, but potentially it might. If it bounces off either the top of the cloud or this support level down here, then we'd be looking to these high side targets. This one is micro copper. Of course, it could work on the biggie as well. And check this out. We were all over the place. We got our short side targets and our high side targets this week. So whichever way you decided to go, if you were trading that thing, you could have been profitable. I love when that happens. So as for what's going to come up, let's bring this down to here. That's a real nice area right there. And then we can go for about that as target two. To the high side, let's go. Since we were red on the day today, again, we'd have to like do all that work to get back up. We'd have to get back up into the daily cloud to here. So that's going to be target one. And then target two will make it that little point up here. That's pretty nice. Finally, we'll wrap this up with a little micro crude, and we were all over these high side targets. Could have had multiple chances to hit those things this week. So again, that's awesome if that worked out for you. Let's move this one up here. So that'll be target one and target two. Again, we can kind of just stair step these up. So like 2, 3, 4, and then of course there's higher highs up here. As for low side, let's just go right there. That's a nasty wick on that one. Whew. And then this kind of an intermediate one. This could be target two. This could be target three. That'll do it for this week. I hope you have an amazing weekend ahead. Again, huge thanks for your subscriptions, your comments, your likes. I so appreciate that. I'm Mindy Kinnis. Thanks so much for watching.